Good morning, friends, and welcome to Wake Up in the Word. Hey, thanks for joining me this morning. We'll be in John chapter 1, not one of your usual Christmas passages today, looking at the glory of Christmas in the metaphor of light. Hey, come and join me because Christmas is a lot like this particular cup I'm drinking from this morning. We feel sadness. The kind of sadness we felt when we were watching the Peanuts Christmas special for the first time and Charlie Brown stood before that sad excuse for a Christmas tree. What a sad situation. Well, those kind of situations magnified 1,000 times are all around us, especially at Christmas when we're reminded of how difficult some situations can be. If you are like those of us living around the areas affected by Hurricane Helene, there are still many people struggling with housing. Some who are I was just noticing from the official word from FEMA that they're supposed to leave temporary housing or their housing assistance is going to end right in the middle of January 2025 unless it's extended. My prayers are that it will be extended so that these people can have a place to stay. We still seem to be struggling left and right with getting people housing, slow processes, and sometimes fraught with difficulties, but the struggle continues. But guess what? It's what life is all about, isn't it? It's Mary and Joseph showing up at Bethlehem, and they're finding the town is crowded. There's no place for a young woman to show up to have a baby because there's no room at the local Holiday Inn. Oh, friends, we look at life sometimes expecting things to be easy, or at least that by this point in the progress of civilization that we should have it better than ever. My friends, life is hard, and life is hard because we live in a fallen world, and it's been that way since the dawn of creation. We should not expect everything to be handed to us on a silver platter, but yet those of us who know the light should be interested in sharing it and passing it to as many people as possible and helping where we can. That's why Christmas time is a time about missions as much as anything else, and about reaching out, not just in disaster relief, but sharing the light of Christ around the world. Well, what is that light about? We read in John chapter 1, verse 1, and yes, this is a Christmas passage, my friends. It says, "In the beginning was the Word," with the capital W. This is a reference to the pre-existent second person of the Trinity, Jesus Christ. It says, "In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. All things were created through Him. And apart from Him, not one thing was created that has been created. In Him was life, and that life was the light of men. And that light shines in the darkness, and yet the darkness did not overcome it." This is a beautiful picture of Christmas, that the Creator, the light of the world, stepped into our dark world that first Christmas night. Verse 6 says, "Now there was a man sent from God whose name was John." This is speaking about John the Baptist. What was his purpose? It says, well, he came as a witness to testify about the light, so that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but he came to testify about the light. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. Now it says that he was in the world, and the world was created through him, and yet the world did not recognize him. He came to his own people did not receive him, but to all who did receive him, he gave them the right to become the children of God, to those who believe in his name. Yeah, that's why we run into verse number 14. This is what Christmas is all about. The Word, that's Jesus, became flesh and dwelt among us. John says, "We observed his glory, the glory as the one and only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth." Well, this is what Christmas is all about. I love the way that Al Mohler put this in a devotional he released just this year for the 2024 Christmas season. He said, when Isaiah told of the coming of the Prince of Peace, he spoke of light dispelling the darkness. The metaphor of light is central to our celebration of Christmas. After all, Even as John introduces the gospel by identifying Jesus as the Word who became flesh, John also describes Jesus as the true light that gives light to everyone coming into the world. So the image of light dispelling darkness is central to our understanding of the incarnation and its meaning. When Jesus was presented in the temple, which we're going to look at next week, it was Simeon who even recognized this, the aged saint there at the temple, who said that this child was a light for revelation to the Gentiles and glory to your people Israel. So the metaphor of light makes sense, but you know what? Only against this background of darkness. And yes, darkness is what's so prevalent in a fallen world. In the Bible, he writes, darkness is a rich metaphor that points to a double reality. In one sense, darkness points to the simple fact of human ignorance. Those who are in the dark are often those who just lack knowledge. To the Jewish mind, the metaphor had particular application to the Gentile world, a world that had not received the grace of God through the revelation of the Torah, the prophets, and the written revelation of God. You know, even today we know that millions still dwell in deep darkness, having never heard about the one true God and of Jesus Christ, his only Son. But in a second sense, darkness refers to evil and willful blindness. This points beyond the mere fact of simple ignorance. In this sense, darkness refers to the fact that many will reject the light. Just as John explained to us, many choose darkness over light. He goes on to write, this is hard to believe. The Son of God took on human flesh and came to live among sinful humanity, but the vast majority didn't recognize him for who he is. But you know, as a celebration of light, Christmas is the festival that points to the glory of God in the revelation of the Son in Bethlehem's humble manger. We rightly point to Christ's birth as the central event of human history, the dividing line between the age of darkness and the age of light. And this is reason enough to celebrate Christmas, for our response is this is what it should be anyhow. Our response to the gift of light must be a celebration, thanksgiving, and rejoicing. That's why Christmas is so special to those who believe, especially. That's why at Christmas we often celebrate missions and those that are giving. I love to recognize those that are still working in the efforts of disaster relief all around us. Yes, missionaries, even in our own backyard. We have a number of those all around in our churches, especially at Mud Creek Baptist Church. The Carpenter's Hands Ministry during these Christmas holidays is working on mission projects to help families around our area. We continue to see people who we're trying to provide housing for as the weather gets drastically cold this weekend in Western North Carolina. But guess what, folks? You've got to find those people, and they have to ask if they're going to be helped. So it's not unusual, as we found just in this past week, some folks who, they were just saying, don't worry, I'll be fine. Wait a minute, you're camping out in a tent. You're not going to be fine when it's 20 degrees. And so all around us, there are needs. And thank God for those churches, those missionaries, and yes, those government agencies and the state agencies and everybody else trying to reach out and help people during these times of need. The light dispelling the darkness. So friends, as we celebrate Christmas, yes, it's great to see the lights going up everywhere. But you know what? I love to recognize those who are being the light wherever they are. You know, we take up in most of our Baptist churches a Lottie Moon Christmas offering, or we're taking up disaster relief offerings. We're doing our best to try to dispel the darkness with funding for the light. And I especially have recognized many of those missionaries that might be even home for Christmas. I want to mention one, and that's Ben Merrill. Ben, it was great to meet you the other day as you're working hard with SCORE Ministries down there in the Dominican Republic. Out of Biltmore Church, and yes, grandparents, Bobby and Kay, right here in Mud Creek Baptist Church. You're out there doing the work that we claim to support each and every day in our churches. Thank you for what you're doing. I hope you have an enjoyable Christmas celebration, because I know what you'll be doing in the new year. You'll be back on the field, back at work, sharing the light. That's what Christmas is all about, isn't it? It's about the light that came into the darkness. It's about a time when we can say left and right to each other, Merry Christmas. And now let's remember what Christmas is all about and say yes to sharing the gospel with everyone we come in contact with, reaching out with a helping hand to those in need, and being the light, the reflective light of the true light, the Son of God, Jesus Christ. God bless you. I'll see you again next week as we wake up in His Word with more emphasis on Christmas, with just a couple more days to go. God bless you.